Hello, welcome to Fiberchats. And today my guest is my dear friend, Monique Dreef from Netherlands. And we've met on Fine Shetland Lace group and that Monique Boonstra organized on Facebook. And somehow we became like very fast friends. I don't know how that happened exactly, but I guess
I was thinking, I do remember.
I'll do tell your side of the story.
I think it was the little secret call that some of the ladies were using handspun, and you were like, "Oh my god, that would be the ultimate dream." So I thought to myself, "Well, I can spin fine, and I have loads of alpaca in the attic." I said, "Well, what the hell? Hey, Irina, if you want something handspun, just ask." And you did.
Right.
And I thought you were going to order about 100 grams for one shawl, but
And I
you
ordered
ordered
entire
big time.
alpaca.
So I was spinning for months at a time, and we were chatting in between, and we had so
Right.
much fun.
Right. No, I love that. I love the whole like idea that you basically took that fleece, washed that fleece, and then suddenly I had a shawl made out of it.
Yeah.
And it's soft as a cloud, and it's just so special just because like I know that a friend spun it for me. And it's like it's funny because this is another design by Monique Boonstra. This is
Yep.
Asha. So we did another knit along in the Fine Shetland Lace with that one. And the fact
Yeah.
that it's,
I already made that.
I love that green one. It's like such a pretty lime. Um,
Yeah, it's really
it's just like it makes it
usable.
special because it's designed by a friend, and Monique is like another dear friend of mine, and it's spun by a friend, so it's like it feels like this virtual hug basically.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. So yesterday I was interviewing Louis Boria, who is New York knitter, and he does this program in New York public schools where he's teaching this bunch of volunteers. He's teaching kids how to knit. And I
Hmm.
know that you work in school. Was there a program when you were growing up where they taught you how to knit? And is there such a program now?
Well, there used to be courses in crafts. For girls, it was the needle crafts, and for boys, it was, well, the hammering and the
Working.
sewing and the woodworking and all that stuff. But they don't do that anymore these days. The good old-fashioned crafts teachers, they died out, sort of. And because of cutbacks in education, they weren't replaced. So I don't know how they do it now, but I know that knitting is not taught anymore in elementary schools,
Right. And it's like
at least not the regular ones.
right. I remember talking to Lisa, I think, and she said that like when she was a young girl in school, they were
Hmm.
actually encouraged to knit during the class. It was like totally acceptable to pull your knitting during the class, like if there was a lecture of some sort and just knit. Um, do you feel like that culture, I mean, not in school necessarily, but do you feel like that culture of knitting still embedded in like young generation today? Do kids knit nowadays?
Not as much as I mean, we were taught from little girls on from home by our mothers, and in my case, my godmother. She was a brilliant knitter. But you don't see it as much. In the school where I work, there's a special program that teaches elementary school teachers. So that's what they're taught there. And there's a special branch of that created by Rudolf Steiner.
Mhm.
And in that elementary school, children are taught to knit, to crochet, to spin, and all the teachers have to be able to knit, crochet, and spin. So those students I see in the cafeteria with their knitting or in the garden with their knitting. But for the rest, no, not so much.
Right. Let's talk about how you started. So you said that your godmother taught you how to knit. How old were you when that was happening?
I was 4 when I started asking her, please teach me how to knit, please teach me how to knit, because she was always knitting. My mother didn't knit.
Right.
She can knit, but she doesn't like doing it. So, okay. But my godmother was always knitting, and she was a very fast knitter, a very good knitter. So I was asking her at the age of 4, please, Auntie, please, please, please teach me, teach me, teach me, teach me. And she didn't want to do it, but she finally gave in and she taught me. And by the time I was 5, I had knitted my first cabled cardigan for
No
myself.
way. At
Yeah,
5.
5. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like some, Guinness Book of Record kind of thing. Who needs at 5
Now
the
I don't think
cables?
so. No, but I really, 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 really wanted to learn.
You know what?
And
That's
I
funny because
still,
like that's what Louis said yesterday. I was asking him like, is there proper like good age to teach kids how to knit? Like, because he's teaching basically, I think it's like second grade to fifth grade,
Mhm.
something like that. So they're like around 8, 10 to 11. And he was like, well, 4 is a great age to start. Like, as long as they really want it,
Yeah.
as long as there is a will, basically, there is a way. So you just confirmed that
Absolutely,
point.
yeah. But as long as they have the dexterity in the fingers, and it's very good for the fine motor skills
Right.
to be developed. So that's why why Rudolf Steiner included that in his program in the schools.
Right. And so when you were knitting as like a young girl, were you following the patterns? Like, how did you decide to what you were knitting?
Well, sometimes I made things up myself because I wanted to knit dolls, and I saw it somewhere, and then I just tried and tried and tried, and so oftentimes I failed, and then the knitting disappeared into a corner for an X amount of time. But it was only a matter of time before it called to me again, and I wanted to knit. I just love to knit.
Were you
I did
like
crochet as well, but
that was my next question. Like
sorry.
no, because I know, there's like it's interesting, but there's so many like majority of fiber artists don't just do one thing. Like we start
No.
with one thing, but then something else catches our attention and they're like, well, let me try that and let me try that. So
Mhm.
do you still crochet?
Only for temporary cast-ons for lace shawls. I'm sorry for all the crocheters out there. I'm just not that into crochet. I know how to do it,
Right.
but it doesn't make me happy the way knitting does. Even a simple sock makes me really happy.
Right. So when did you start spinning? How did you learn how to spin?
Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so everybody was spinning, and I grew up on a chicken farm dead center of The Hague. That's if you tell people now, they don't believe you, but my father had a chicken farm there, and we had a bit of extra land, and he had sheep there. So we had the fleeces, and I suddenly, I think I just started asking. I can't remember exactly, but I think from around age 10 to 14, I did spin. And my father got some old spinning wheels somewhere for me. And with my aunties, we did spin, and they knitted, and they also dyed with onion peels.
Yeah, I've seen that actually. That like it gives like a beautiful color.
Yeah, it's really well. It depends. You should ask Jo, because she knows everything about dyeing naturally.
Right.
It's a complete different science. I'm not going to try my hand at that.
Right. Well, maybe one
Um,
day. Don't say never.
maybe after retirement, when I have the time to dedicate
Right.
to the whole science behind it.
Right. No, that's
But
like another whole fascinating industry right there. Like she does so many incredible things. I'm still trying to
absolutely.
convince her to be one of my guests.
Well, I hope she does, because she has a lot of very, very valuable information.
She does.
She's a
She's
sort
like
of an
really like a walking
encyclopedia.
encyclopedia. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's an
exactly.
incredible knitter. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about your dyeing. Like you started with like onion skins, and how did you go from there to like all that array of colors we see on your background or on my background? So this is also
Yeah,
the
well, those
yarn
are not
dye.
natural. Yeah, those are just acid dyes I used. Um, well, when I was knitting, I always said, well, I'm not going to do spinning or dyeing or whatever. And well, boy, was I wrong. So a couple of years ago, when I just started Great British Wool, that was in 2013, I
Mhm.
met a couple of ladies because I had some samples there of Shetland comb tops for
Right.
spinning. and they were really enthusiastic spinners. And I said, "Oh no, 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 no! I don't want to go down that rabbit hole." But I did anyway. So it started to come back, and so my husband said, "Well, why not?" Uh, Well, that's not a big thing in our living room. I know, space is limited. Well, give it a try. If you don't like it, you can always. I mean, it was really old thing that was absolutely falling apart. He said, "Well, if you don't like it, then you can uh, put it in the fireplace for all I
Right.
care." Okay, so but yeah, I got bitten by the bug.
Does he,
Was
do
quite
you think he like ever regretted pushing you in that direction?
new. He does, yeah. When there's
Right.
alpaca fluff everywhere, like this one, and I mean when I pull them apart to make portions, to make
Right.
50-gram portions, then well, sometimes some stuff flies around the kitchen, so he's
Well,
not too happy
you
when that
can,
happens.
right. You can tell him, listen, honey, this is what you started. You told me to try, so it's all your fault.
Yeah, well, I always tell my godmother it's your fault. So whenever I meet her, she's like 86, 87 now.
Right.
So I use she's a good friend of my mother. So whenever my mother has a birthday, she's there, and I always say, "Well, it's your fault." And I tell my husband, "Look, that's the lady who started it all. It's her fault. I blame my addiction on you."
Right, right. Well, we
No, I
always
think
need,
that
this
would have
is the
happened anyway.
tradition of the Fine Shetland Lace group also. We always blame something on somebody. Usually it's
Yep.
Karen, but
Yep.
we try to blame everything possible on her. But sometimes we need
I
some
haven't blamed her
variety.
for a while.
Yeah, we haven't blamed
I
her.
did dye some greens though. Maybe I could blame that
Oh,
on her.
Karen.
Karen, this is your fault.
Do you find that interesting that it's like it's became this almost family like feeling in the group because we know like what colors people like, we make fun of them, we know like about their, you know, random spider in her living room that suddenly like everybody is
that get
following.
that gets named.
Right.
No, I love it. I love it. It brings me so much joy, and when I'm having not such a good day, then I just go online and I just look at the posts in the group, and that always makes me happy.
Right. Do you feel like it made a difference like through COVID just because it was such a lonely, isolated time to have that the groups and to have all the like Zoom communication and
Hmm. Well, for me personally, it was shocking for me to discover how little adaptations I had to do in my life with
yeah,
COVID. Well, I'm a recluse by nature, I think. It's just I didn't have to go to the office anymore 5 days a week. So I said, well, that's 1 hour a day of travel time I don't have.
right. It's actually funny
And
because like a lot of people say that like COVID was a blessing in disguise because
mhm,
it just gave all the creative people freedom to try more things, and like because you're at home so you suddenly like decide to try things you didn't have time before to try, or just like went online and like met all these wonderful fiber friends.
yeah, they're the greatest people. I love them all so much. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if COVID had anything to, at least for me, it didn't. But I do see people that take up spinning that are asking me for drop spindles or supported spindles. So I keep telling my colleague, who is a woodworker also, in his
Right.
spare time, just what I do with fiber, he does with wood. So please make more, please make more. But I haven't heard back from him, so I think he's on holiday as well.
Right. Talk about your company. So how did that started, and how is like what do you sell nowadays? What people can buy on your site?
Well, it started in 2012 when I visited a knitters fair, and I had bought a book on Shetland sweaters.
Mhm.
And a colleague of mine who is also, like me, crazy in love with England, I gave him the book. I said, "Oh, look what I got now." And he was going through it, and he said, "Oh, that's the one I want." And it was the Vela slip over. He said, "But I want it in Shetland wool." Well, okay. So I went online and it wasn't available in the Netherlands.
Right.
So we had to order in Shetland, which wasn't a problem. It was there quite quickly. But I have always been dreaming of owning my own yarn store since I was a little girl. And well, that idea started to pop in my head again. And I said to my husband, I said, this is really, really good wool. It's not available here. What do you think? Can you build me a website so maybe I can convince them to allow me to sell it here in the Netherlands? So in 2012 it started, and I started contacting Jamieson and Smith and again and again and again. So it took a little while. But finally they agreed and allowed me to sell their wool in the Netherlands in my web shop. So I ordered a bunch of stuff and my husband built my website, and I started going to fairs, and that's where it all evolved from. So it started out with only Shetland.
Right.
And then in 2013, I went to Shetland Wool Week, and there I came into contact with the Shetland Lace.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just totally in love. So I bought a couple of books and I started knitting lace. I started actually with a lyric lace shawl, which is very complex.
Right.
And I just didn't think like you with the hard stole. I didn't think, I just dove in. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And, you know, when knitting Shetland lace with Shetland wool, you're thinking, where did all my patterns go?
Right.
And they just magically show up when you block it.
Yeah, it's like
so, well,
when you knit it, you can't really see the lace, but then once you stretch it and you block it, suddenly it's like this butterfly that opens its wings for the first time, and you see all the beauty there.
And then an hour later you walk past and you say, damn, did I do that?
Well, you know, my favorite thing about blocking Shetland lace, it's dry in 30 minutes. Sometimes it's like, too. Sometimes you have to like use the spray bottle just to keep it like somewhat moist, because by the time you finish with one end, it's already all dry, you know.
Yeah,
doesn't take much
I leave
time
it
at
curled
all.
up. Yeah, I just leave it curled up a bit in the end, especially with big ones like the Shetland Stars. Ooh,
I'll do show.
This is one of my. Ooh. So I decided to make it easy on myself and make it in black.
Yeah, of course. And just like so for those of you who are not familiar with knitting with black, it just makes it like 10 times more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, just put a white towel in your lap and a big spotlight on top.
Right.
And use contrasting needles. So this was actually the test knit for the Shetland Stars.
Right. Tell me how did you start? How did you meet Monique Boonstra, and how did you become her tester? Like, how did that develop?
It was a long time ago. She was at a knitters fair, and she had the first one she made, on a hap stretcher. And right. Oh my God, that's beautiful. And we just started talking, and we had this instant connection somehow. And when I started Great British Wool, and we had met a couple of times in between the first time we met and the time I started Great British Wool. Well, she was designing, I think it was for a circular shawl. She was just swatching a bit. And I saw it on Facebook and I said, wow, that's just like the top of a beret. And she went like, really? I mean, this is about this big. Well, try my yarn and try bigger needles. So that was how the Raspberry Beret was born. And it was her first design for my shop.
Right.
And later she also made a pair of fingerless mittens from the same yarn to match. So you can have a beret and the mittens.
Right.
I still have that in my shop as a kit. So by all means, if somebody wants to try to start a beret, right? Is
it like
so the beret starts from the top down,
right?
And it's so much fun to knit. I mean, you start out with 3 needles and like 8 stitches, and you go like, oh my God, how is this going to work? But once you get the hang of it,
right,
you're quite disappointed that you already have to decrease to make the brim.
Right, it probably like grows super fast, you know, because it's all in pieces at the beginning.
Exactly. And it's a beret, so it's a small project. And it's like, oh, I'm done already. No, now I want to make another one.
And then you go for the meats.
And then you go for the mitts, or you just make another beret. I mean, you never
Right.
have enough. Like shawls, you never have enough berets.
That's true. Do you sell your shawls?
If people want to pay the right price, they are for sale. Yeah.
How do you determine the right price? Like, how do you decide for yourself how to price your things?
I usually make an offer with a specified number of meters that I use. So I charge by the meter,
Mm-hmm.
depending on which level of difficulty it is. And then the materials plus shipping, plus washing and blocking, I also charge a bit for that.
Right. Do you have a favorite project? Do you have something that like nobody can buy from you? It's like stays with you forever.
Yeah, I mean this one of course is very special to me. This is the Shetland Stars, which many people have knitted. And I said I've knitted 3 now, so this was the first one. And then I made one in very fine cashmere and silk, which was absolutely horrible to knit. The yarn, not the pattern. And that one I gave to my colleague as a retirement present.
Oh, that's beautiful present.
Yeah, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it. But it's about a third of the size of this one. It's weighed about 38 grams total.
Oh my God.
So you really have to tie it down in the wind or it blows away. And then I made another one out of Shetland wool. And we did a sort of swap. She has skills that I don't have, and I have skills that she doesn't have. So she made a very nice woven shawl for me. So it was a swap. So this one is really special to me.
So describe me your average day. Like, how do you decide what project you're going to work on? How do you find time for work, children, husband, spinning, cleaning alpacas, knitting, test knitting, all of this? And I must tell you, like when you and I were testing the third one for Monique, you kept me on my toes. Like I had to basically full-time working meeting to like keep up with you. How do you do that? How do you manage your time? How do you decide what you're gonna do? Like,
well, typical day, a weekday for me is get up, have my coffee, and get to work. And after dinner, I check my web shop if there are any orders. And if there are, I just go pack them up and let people know that they're on their way. Then I just see what I feel like doing. I mean, sometimes I either need to spin because I have an order, or I want to spin, or I want to dye something, or I just go with the flow. And sometimes a project needs to be finished, so I just sit myself down and I just go.
do you ever have a day when you don't do fiber arts?
When I'm really sick. So if I'm not knitting, spinning, or working with my alpaca or sheep fleeces, then I'm not doing good.
That's how you know. Like call the doctor.
Call the paramedics, yeah. Because then I'm really.
That's just so funny. So what are you working on right now? Like as far as yarn dyeing, is there? You've teased us about something new coming up. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I can. You said surprise me, so I did. So there's no blue was there in your box, but it's this yarn. It's Miss Namibia.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And it's single ply, 100% Namibian mohair. It's not extremely soft, but it has a really nice body to it. So it works really well with structured stitches like cables or brioche.
Right.
Because it has a lot of volume, a lot of body, and it's got a really nice sheen to it. I love that pearly sheen of the mohair.
Right.
And it's in my shop now.
Oh, nice.
Not these particularly, but
what's the yardage on that? How many?
It's 800 meters per 100 grams.
Oh, so it's like lace weight, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lace weight. It's a bigger one. It's more visible.
Right. How is the fourth one going? Where are we in this competition?
Well, I was just knitting. I thought, well, okay, let's do another couple of rows before it's 2 o'clock. And then you said, can we start earlier? So I was just in the middle of row 8 of the first border.
This is where I
So
am.
where are you?
I just finished row 8 and the same exact row. You caught up with me already.
Yeah, but knowing you, you'll probably say something to me like, oh, look, yarn, can you dye that for me?
It's so funny. Like, I have to tell about that story. So we were knitting the third one. We were really neck to neck. We were competing on who's going to finish it first. And then you mentioned something that you just got this new yarn and you like thinking of what colors to dye. And I was like, oh, can I have some? And that took you out of the competition for like a good week.
Yeah, you wanted the lofty lace,
Right.
and you wanted the custom color. So I had to swatch for that as well, because dyers do swatch too. They make 10-gram swatch hanks to test the color on.
Is that
So it
how
took a
you
couple
do
of
it? Like
tries.
you start with the 10 gram, you try the color and
Yeah.
then you decide if that works. So you need to adjust the pigment.
Yeah, that's what I do. And work out the formula. For instance, the blue from the lapis lazuli blue. It took a couple of tries to get it just the way I wanted it.
Right.
So that's the color I also used for the third one. So this is my fourth one. And the blue is a really complex blue. So it's made up out of 3 or 4 colors that are mixed together. So there's a bit of purple hue in there, and it's just it took me a couple of tries to get the color right.
It's funny that I love my version of the third one. I really I'm very happy with how it looks and everything. But this particular color that you used, somehow these stitches are just so well defined. And I must say the lofty lace was spectacular lace for that. It just gives such a perfect stitch definition. You can see every single loop so clearly.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I always like to create contrast. So if I wear this, for instance, yesterday I wore it to the hairdressers. You didn't see it because it was under the cape. But I have a white, either a white or a bright yellow T-shirt underneath, so it creates a nice contrast.
To show, yeah.
So,
So do you often wear your lace? Do you go every time you go outside, you wear something?
Yeah, it depends on where I'm going. I wear this one to the office quite often. Also the Shetland stars I wear quite often. Esha I wear quite often. Bijou, of course. Which did you make that one? No, you didn't, did you?
No, not yet. I know.
Such a lovely pattern. You can make that out of the copper lofty lace.
Right. Yeah. I actually still have 3 skeins of the alpaca that you spun for me, so I need to find a project for that.
You still got 3? No, you used the gray one and the blue one for Castadiva.
And this one.
And the purple one for Esha.
So I have
it's just the red and the...
Yeah, I have yellow and I have pink. And I think it was one more.
Pink.
I can't remember. Maybe
no, you ordered 5.
Yeah, so 2. You remember because you spun them, and that took
I know, spent hours of them. This is my Gemma. And this is another Monique Dreef design. She designed this also for my shop, but she, for the original, she used the fawn colorway. So it's, I think, but that's my opinion, quite a dull color.
Right.
It doesn't speak. So I thought to myself, well, what can we do to bump sales up maybe a bit? I said, well, I take 5 balls. What if I dye 5 different shades and create a gradient like this one?
It's funny because it doesn't look like it's it really looks like the continuous gradient. It doesn't have that stripiness to it that you would get with 5 balls. That, I almost asked if that was just gradient yarn.
There's a trick to it.
Do tell.
Maybe you can see it.
Oh, so you do you mix.
You just alternate colors.
Alternate the rows, yeah. It's beautifully blended. It's actually like, if you don't see it really close up, it looks like completely faded effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And with COVID, I mean, if they can see the stripes, they're too close.
That's so true. How do you pick fleeces? Like, how do you have a favorite suppliers, or do you have like favorite sources for that?
Yeah, for my Hampshire Downs, I preferably go to Hampshire. There's a farm there where we have been camping there for 10, 15 years now.
Right.
It's a lovely couple, and I know they're very, very good for their animals. They take really good care of them. And their fleeces are spectacular. And I know they always keep some aside for me. But unfortunately, due to COVID and now Brexit, I
Right.
haven't been able to go there for 2 weeks, 2 years now. So I am homesick like crazy. I just want to pitch my tent in their field and put my feet in the grass and have a cup of coffee with my husband and just have a look at the hills and all the animals that just come by
Right.
during the day. I mean, in the morning, there can be a herd of cows that just graze their way across the hill. And then in the afternoon, the sheep come and they look at you like,
What are you doing here?
and yeah, especially the lambs. They're so cheeky. They're so lovely.
Where do you get your alpaca from?
My alpaca I source locally. There's a care farm around here. They take care of people with Alzheimer's and various mental disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And they just have to stand there and look cute. So for every bet I sell to another spinner, there is an amount of money I donate at the end of the year to that cause.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah, because they do a great job. I've been telling my children, if I ever get Alzheimer's, I want to go there.
Right.
Because it's such a lovely facility, so relaxed, and people can go outside and work in the garden or tend to the chickens. They have bunnies. They have some tiny pigs, sheep, and of course the alpacas. And
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
well, they have to be shorn once a year. And they didn't know what to do with the fleeces. Well, I do.
Is it more difficult to wash like certain fleece versus another to clean it?
Well, the alpaca can be quite tough when it's really fine. So the hair is really fine, and there is a lot of vegetable material in there. So a bit of leaves, bit of grass, bit of straw.
Right.
So if you buy my bats, there's always a bit left in there because it's impossible to get out.
Right.
But and washing is really easy. It means just lukewarm water and a bit of soap, dishwashing soap. And I just leave it for 10, 15 minutes and then I rinse it and it's incredible. I washed a white fleece this morning, which looked quite white to me. But the buckets that I threw out, it was like, ooh, who ordered espresso? Like that black.
Right.
I mean, yeah, bunnies get the blame for being dusty, but the alpacas, they invented it.
Right. That's so funny. Do you have like some dream project or part of it or equipment or something that like you're like, okay, one day I'm gonna get that and I'm gonna do that? Like, is there some long-term planning for you, that some long-term dream that you want to achieve?
Well, that is not for me. It's not a matter of equipment because I'm very well equipped at the moment. But with wool stuff, it's more the matter of time.
Right.
I have a full-time job, and like you said, still have a husband and my sons. Even though they're quite grown now. I mean, the oldest one is 24. The youngest one just turned 22.
Right.
They're very self-sufficient, but still they need my attention from time to time. Don't know why.
We just had the same discussion like about our children who are also 24 and 22, and I was planning a vacation, but both of them supposed to move to a new place on September 1st, and I was like, well, we can't go away because we have to help them to move. And my husband was like, Listen, when I was their age, like when you were their age, you were married already and you did everything by yourself. Like, why do I have to help them still?
Yeah.
It's just like they never stop being kids, you know?
No, it's a matter of knowing when to let go as a parent, and that's just so difficult. I mean, our youngest one went on a bicycle holiday with his girlfriend. So they were going to cycle all the way from up north, from
Right.
Groningen down south to Maastricht.
And that's
And they were
exactly where
planning,
the rains were happening and all the
yeah,
flooding.
yeah. So I said, well, don't go as low as that. Well, mom, we'll see. It's a week and a half from now. So, okay. So they took the train up north. And the first couple of days, everything went fine. And then on the third day, he was putting his tent on the back of his bicycle and he had a flat. And at that moment, he was just like he was really tired. So he didn't take time to relax before he went on holiday. So he was just
Right.
like, I'm giving up. So he called his dad. And he said, well, yeah, well, what? I said, well, her parents are somewhere halfway on their route, so we just drop them there, and we just go and pick up the bikes and their stuff. And so on one day we drove about 600 kilometers or
Oh my
something. So we
God.
went just all the way around the country. Yeah, but yeah, well, what can you do? I mean,
Things you
you're a
do for
mom
your
for life,
children.
right? Yeah, and he was so appreciative, so it's okay.
What do you have on the back there? Can we see what's all that beauty?
This one,
Yeah.
it's the same one as you
Well,
got.
well, well, it's because it's blue. It
It's
catches my attention.
it's green actually. It's a
Right,
greenish
right.
blue, bluish green. This is the second one.
Did you have fun doing those kits? Because I know you've made so many different
I
sets
had so
before.
much fun. Yes, I had so much fun dyeing those.
It wasn't
And this is the
overwhelming
natural
because
version.
you've had a lot of orders back then because it was
Yeah,
we did another knit along and we had like close to 100 people I think for that one.
yeah,
Um,
and I think I sold about 50 kits.
right. It was amazing to see because it's four colors, so there is like all these variations. So you
Yeah.
go the light in the center to the darkest on the edging. There's
Hmm.
like two middle ones in the border. And I feel like it was so interesting to see because there was all the yellows and the purples and the greens and the blues and it was and like there were browns. Like I remember it was like amazing to see how different all
Yeah.
the shawls looked with all those yarns, you know.
Yeah, and also because there were different bases. I mean, yours is dyed on a white basis, so the colors are more bright.
Right.
And I also dyed when you use the same dye on a fawn base or a gray base, the colors just shift and change. And especially when you dye yellow on gray, that is gives such a
Depth.
marvelous bit of olivey greenish color.
Right.
It's just
I find
you
your
just look at your dye pot and say, "What the hell happened here?" It looks spectacular.
it's interesting because like I find your color is so deep, so like beautiful because I was trying to like when I was knitting this, I was trying to take pictures of all these colors and it's almost
Hmm.
impossible to get it on camera because it doesn't look like it looks through camera. It's like it has these gorgeous turquoise hues to it.
Yeah,
And it was like the most frustrating thing is to try here
yeah,
to try to get the right color of it, you know, just because it's like it's so beautiful when you see it in person. It just like it's extra vibrant, you know.
yeah.
Do you have favorite customers? I mean, besides me, of course. Do you have favorite customers that you like?
No, I love them all. I love them all. They're all very special to me, and most of them know that I am doing this beside my job. So, fortunately, they're very patient with me, and just the responses I get through Facebook, they just send me a message from, "Hey, it's got here," and oh my God, it's nice, and just makes my day, and it gives me the energy to go on.
Do the customer ever inspire you to try something that you haven't thought about, like color wise or material
Yeah,
wise or?
Absolutely, absolutely. Paula Cabildis, she challenges me on a regular basis. You do? Um, yeah. For Paula, I did spin this really gorgeous Leicester longbow fleece that was in various shades of gray, and she wanted to keep those shades together, but she also wanted the lace weight. So that was really challenging to spin and to ply in a way that the shades stayed together.
Right.
So I had to use different techniques for that, and I love it. I love to do custom colors. If you have any wishes, just let me know, and we'll work something out.
Right.
That's
And I
the
love
main
that
thing I like.
about you, because like when you participated in the Knitters Gonna Knit giveaway, and you like very generously offered 2 skeins of yarn,
Hmm.
the best thing about it was just tell me what colors you want and I'll make it happen
Yeah.
for you, you know? So that was
Yeah.
like so nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's nice to win a prize, but when you get a shade that you think, hmm, that it doesn't feel like a prize, does it?
Right, right. No, that was like
So
extra
that's,
special. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, do you uh, I'm sorry, I'm not usually like that scatterbrained.
It's okay. I'm on holiday. I have all the time in the world. If you want to keep going till 5, we keep going till 5.
We'll keep going. But I'm just trying to think what I can ask you to like bring more attention to the business. Um, do you
Um,
want do you have like some upcoming uh campaigns for the yarn or anything?
no, not yet. I'm still waiting for prizes to come through. Oh, hang on. I got some great new yarns. I mean, of course, the Miss Namibia. This is hand spun alpaca. I spun and dyed myself. So this is what you get when you put blue on a fawn.
Oh, that's interesting because it gives like different shade.
Yeah, and a bit of gradients as well, so it's not completely even.
Right.
And this is a pure black alpaca that I also spun myself.
How do you decide on like thickness of spinning? Do you let the fleece dictate it, or is it like just based
Yeah.
on your mood, or is there like
Well, it
certain
also depends on what I need or what a customer needs. Some fleeces or some parts of the fleece aren't suitable for fine lace spinning.
right?
Others are. Um, and it depends. I mean, this is Hampshire Downs that I spun for the sheep farmer, and I
Mm-hmm.
dyed it light gray. It's such a lovely material, so bouncy, and you can machine wash this all natural.
Oh, interesting. So
So no
you would use that
treatments.
like for socks or something, right?
You could use it for socks. I think I would rather put in a bit of mohair there for strength. So
Mm-hmm.
what normally the nylon does, the mohair does in wool, but it's quite strong by itself. However, you did get the sock yarn, didn't you?
I did. I haven't
How do
done
you
it
like
yet.
it?
I haven't knitted with it yet.
No, I know you don't like to knit socks,
No,
but it's
it's
also
not.
very suitable
Honestly,
for hats.
it's not that I don't like. I'm sort of like I can't even explain you. It's like one of those irrational phobias. Like I'm terrified of socks. It's just like they seem to me like this like very hard some reason. And I know it's like a common joke about me because a lot of people start with socks. It's like one of the
Hmm.
consider easiest projects. And I know that you always say that you can knit sock in your sleep, like you don't even
Yeah.
need to think about it. And for me, I can do these things, not in my sleep, but I can do it like without any fear or hesitation. Like I jump
Hmm.
into fine lace, absolutely like, oh, what can possibly go wrong? And yet you give me, the sock yarn, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that.
No, but that's also new, and that is. I still have to put it in my shop, but my problem with the sock yarn is, I mean, I get the white sock yarn, and should I dye a load and then put it in my shop, or shall I treat it like I do my lace yarns and wait for custom orders to pop up? I don't know.
And I find that like I know what you mean, because it can be tricky, because sometimes like some people are very visual and they
Hmm.
cannot imagine what they want, but once they see it, they know that they want it. So that's like this stick is two ends, because like on one hand you want to give them choices, on the other hand some people don't know what they want. They want to see it, they want to touch it, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I want, it's like they
Yeah.
more impulsive, they see, they like, they get. So it's harder.
Yeah, but I'm also working on a different technique for dyeing now, especially for the sock yarn. So you get two identical socks. So what I do is I make two 50-gram balls of the cone, and then I wind them together into one big 100-gram cake.
Mhm.
And then I just take my syringes that I use for dyeing, and I just inject
Oh,
different
that's
colors, and then I massage it a bit, and then I fixate it. And then I just wind it down all again, let it dry, and then wind it into separate balls. And then you get, if I did my job properly, two identical socks.
that's so
So
nice.
if anybody wants any, just let me know.
I never even heard of that. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I did try it before, but those balls came straight from the factory, so they were already pre-wound, and I
Right.
didn't like the quality of that sock yarn. And the sock yarn I have, you felt it. It's really bouncy and squishy and fluffy and nice.
Right. Do your boys knit or
The
know how
youngest one
to knit?
tried, but he's a left-handed, so I haven't been able to teach him properly. He did knit as a young boy, but he's too busy doing other stuff now.
Right. Well, he might come back to that later. He knows where to get yarn from.
No, and the oldest one, he is in car repair, so he's a car painter, amongst other things, and he also restores classic cars for a living. So, and my husband, well, he's my greatest supporter, my biggest fan, so he just keeps encouraging me to knit, and he loves my socks. So sometimes when I'm really busy with 100 of other projects, he just sits next to me, puts his foot over his knee, and then I can see through the soles of his socks. And I said, "Okay, darling, your turn again."
That's so funny.
So he
One
really
of my
wears
like
them.
fondest childhood memories was when my grandma taught me how to darn socks, and she had that
Hmm.
little wooden mushroom that you put inside of the
Yeah,
heel, and then she showed me how to darn it. And it was like I somehow like I remember loving the process. It's somehow like very meditative.
yeah, it is. It can be, but
Do
these
you
socks,
darn
trust me,
socks?
they were no, no. I hate
you
it.
just you just need new ones.
I'm faster knitting a pair of new ones
Right.
than darning it. I mean, and his by the time I can see through the soles of his socks, I mean, really from heel to toe,
Yeah,
then
it's
it's
too much
just time to
darning.
make a fresh pair.
Right.
Or I should replace the sole, but come on, time for some new colors. I mean, sock yarn, you
How
can
long
go
does it take
crazy.
you to knit a pair of socks?
I think about 10 hours for two socks. So a couple of long drives, and I have a pair of socks.
Right. Well, it's probably
I
gonna
usually
take
knit
me
socks in
much
the car.
longer.
Yeah, yeah, but I just make them plain vanilla, so it's a plain foot and just a 2x2 ribbing for the leg.
Right. I don't know. One day I'll brave it, and I'll brave it with your sock yarn.
You will have Christmas socks. I mean, yeah, sock yarn is just so much fun to dye because you can really go mad with all the colors.
Right. When you mentioned Brexit, does that affect your business as well?
Yeah, everything I need to get from England, from the UK, at the border, I pay 21% VAT plus 4% customs charges. And if the order is too big, I also have to pay for import charges, import duties. So yeah, my buying is 25% more expensive than it used to be.
Do you plan to continue selling Shetland wool, or it became?
Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah.
I sure do because it's a unique product. It's a wonderful product. I mean, Yeah, I love the Shetland Islands. I love the Shetland wool, and it's got unique properties that you can't find anywhere else in the world. So yes, I will most certainly keep on selling Jameson and Smith.
Right. How often do you go to like local festivals or fairs? Is that like very common in Netherlands?
No, for me it was twice a year. It was a specific fair for knitters
Mhm.
and crocheters, and it started out as a really nice little festival. But over the years, it's gotten too famous, too well known, and there were just too many people. So it was twice a year, once in February, once in September.
Are
And
they
I
gonna,
always had great fun.
are they gonna have one
But
this year or they canceled?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going anyway because not anymore because it's really expensive to go.
Right.
I mean, it's usually across the country, so I have to pack up all my stuff here, take it down three stories down to the car, stuff the car, drive for about 150 kilometers before I get to the place, unload the whole shebang, and then build my booth up. And but it's just really quite pricey to go there to be
Right.
there. So just for the weekend, it's usually 2 days. It would cost me about €1,000 just to be there.
Right.
And also, I had to find people to come and help me. You have to feed those. I mean, I think I should.
Right.
I mean, they come there voluntarily to help me, so I think I should take good care of them.
Right.
But also, I mean, yeah, the car doesn't run on water either. So,
Right. It just
and the last couple of times, I just didn't meet the break-even point. So I said, well, no, I'm going to quit this. I'm not having fun anymore. It's only stressing me out.
right.
So now,
How do you market yourself? How do you market the store? Like, did you find that um, the trick to success?
well, define success. If I have happened, well, yeah. I mean, I'm
Honestly,
not in it to
like
get
I think
rich.
no, right. But I feel like it's something that you feel like you are at peace with the amount of work you have. Like when you can,
Yeah,
sometimes you don't want to drown in others either. You want to be able to live your life and do other things you like. And
that and pay real attention to my customers. If they have a question, then I take the time to answer it properly
right,
and not just refer to some website. I mean, that's not who I am. And I like to take time to educate people on my products, and the personal touch is important for me. So that's why I don't want to get too big
right,
because I still want that personal touch, and that's I think what separates me from a lot of other bigger stores. I mean, you always get a personal note from me in your parcel. If I have them, you get some stitch markers.
I love those. I
Sorry.
use them all the
Yeah.
time. Not because they're like so perfect. It's like it's funny because the handle or whatever you call it, the
Hmm.
loop is super thin, so it doesn't interfere with the lace. It doesn't make it
Hmm.
not too heavy. It's just like it's so beautiful and it doesn't catch anything. I use them all the time now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's my friend who makes them,
Yeah.
and she's a knitter too, so she knows what she needs and what a knitter needs in a stitch marker,
No, it's very
and
important.
also what we don't need.
I feel like it also like what makes difference about you, the fact that you are a knitter and the fact that you do everything. You spin, you knit fine lace, you knit socks, you knit sweaters. Like what you would expect for yourself, like what's the best thing for
Yeah.
yourself, and that's what you offer to your customers. So there's
Yep.
level of expertise that you don't get from just a dyer or just a spinner. It's like the
Hmm.
fact that you
Yeah.
do it all yourself as well. You know what works and you know what's like not that great, so you wouldn't even offer it.
Exactly. Yeah. And if I get a fleece and it's not up to my quality standards, then I use it as stuffing for a pillow or whatever.
Right, right.
But I'm not going to sell it to anyone. And then hear later, usually through the grapevine, for oh, that was crappy quality. No, I don't want that.
Right. And I think like this is how also like you find a lot of customers. It just people post your yarn and they're like, oh my God, love
Yeah.
that thing from Monique. So I'm like, oh, I want that color. Like I know this is how like when you mentioned that you spin alpaca and and I just said like, oh my God, this is my ultimate dream. And you're like, well, I can do it for you. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like part of the how not only you build the relationship, but you also get business going as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. That's what I said before. I mean, I love to be in contact with people and that share a passion. My passion for beautiful yarns, for beautiful fiber,
Right.
and for knitting. And well, in the groups I'm in now, so the Fine Shetland Lace group, the Knit's Gonna Knit, for instance. I mean, there's more,
Right.
but yeah, people are so nice, and we all have share the common love for the craft. I mean, it's mind-boggling what you can do with just two sticks and a bit of string, right?
Isn't that
Yeah.
pure magic?
It's pure magic, black magic.
Well, you also do a lot of things with like spinning wheel and spindles and all this
Yeah,
stuff. So, well, thank you so very much for being my guest today. I loved having you. It's like it feels so very
I'm honored.
special. And I'm sure we'll continue being friends through the years. I mean, we have to meet still. There was this plan for Dublin last year, so maybe next
Next
year.
year.
Yeah, we'll try to
Next
do
year.
that.
Yeah.
Either
I've
there or
already
in Denmark.
convinced Jolijn. She lives in Ireland. I said, well, open up your house,
Right.
and we'll all come. We will do a knitting retreat with you,
That
and
sounds
then in the morning take the bus to Dublin.
that sounds like a great idea. We should discuss that more.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm honored to be here.